Los Angeles. For the both of you, why, we understand the 17 years that went by, but why has this become so personal? And in what way will it affect the way you fight on April 3rd in Las Vegas?
It'll affect the way that I'm not accustomed getting the reputation of fighting the way they would like to see others fight. That means when I go in there to fight, I go in there to break and systematically destroy a guy's career. There's evidence of other fighters that's never been the same when they stepped in there with Bernard Hopkins or the executioner. But now, this is a situation where now I don't have time left in my career to hopefully see this guy again in the ring. This is it. And this means a lot to me. This means that Roy Jones Jr. is going to have to fight me off him. And when you do that, and when you have that mindset, that means that you're going to have to be able to take risks too. And so I understand the cause and effect of what you do and what you not do. But this is going to be a fight, I'm telling you from my mouth, that Roy Jones Jr. either going to have to fight to not get knocked out or fight to knock me out. That was the motivation for 17 years.
Roy, once again, yesterday in New York, things got personal. We could see on the video that things were quite personal between you and your rival. What adjustments to your style, or what way do you plan on fighting that will either keep it that way, will make you more aggressive? What do you have planned for April 3rd?
What I have planned is simple. All the things he just said are very true. That's every fight I ever had. I had a fight to get you over me, or a fight to take you out, whichever one comes first. So whichever thing happens first is what I'll be doing. Whether it's knocking him out to get him off me, or going to find him to knock him out. It don't matter.
Now, Bernard Hopkins, I had you on the air this morning, pleasure. Roy Jones Jr., I had you on the air this morning, also a pleasure. One of the things that Roy Jones Jr. said in our interview is that Bernard Hopkins, you were more with timing. You were looking for a vulnerable Roy Jones Jr. that you feel that you can beat now, that's not going to show up that night. He said you would not have a vulnerable Roy Jones Jr. What can the fans expect to see? Are both of you going to come out aggressive, fast, and are you going into the fight thinking that this is a vulnerable Roy Jones Jr.?
I'd be a fool to think that Roy Jones Jr. is going to step in the ring with Bernard Hopkins, myself, in April 3rd and train laying on the beach, getting the suntan. I know that Roy Jones Jr. has something to prove to the world, and I know that Roy Jones Jr. is going to come and try to savage his career and the opinion that people have about him right now. I know how it feels to be an underdog. I know how it feels to be in a position where you got to prove people wrong. I'm looking for the best rejuvenated Roy Jones Jr., and that keeps me honest. I never in my whole life or career underestimated any of my opponents. That's just not Bernard Hopkins' DNA. It's not in my DNA, and it's never been on my resume. I will fight Roy Jones and train and watch all of the Roy Jones tapes before the Tarver fight, before the Glenn Johnson fight, because that keeps me honest. I'm too smart to go for the okadoke. I didn't take this fight because I think he's vulnerable. I never asked or took on a fight that wasn't a challenge to me. And that's been the book on Bernard Hopkins. It's not in my character. And that's why I took this fight, because I know he'll be at his best. He has a lot to prove. I have a lot to prove.
Roy Jones Jr., he said you'll be at your best, and I know that you feel you will be at your best. What can we as fans expect to see, and can you also comment on what was told earlier today that he's expecting a vulnerable Roy Jones Jr. to get into the ring on the 3rd of April?
Quite naturally, if you can't beat somebody, you want to wait till you see them at their weakest point before you try them again. Honestly speaking, I ain't got nothing to prove to nobody. I'm still me. They can think what they want to think. None of them put breath into this body. None of them are the reason I'm here today. As a matter of fact, for all of them to do so much thinking and talking about what I am, they didn't know the day they were going to come here, and they don't know the day they're going to leave. So they don't know about the most two important days of their own life. How could they tell me about mine? Secondly, the one thing I do know is the day the executioner will leave the boxing ring is going to be April 3rd.
All right, let me ask you this now. 17 years ago, I was the ring announcer when you both fought the first time. Washington, D.C., outdoors. Great fight, great night.
Your hair wasn't great.
My hair wasn't gray. I didn't have any bald spots in the back or any of that. And you were a lot younger yourself then, too, B-Hop. Both
I
of
agree.
you, of course. I've known both of you for over 20 years. And not just Michael Buffer, but everybody knows in boxing that the two of you are, you never leave anything to neglect in the training camp. You're two of the best trainers in the business are in your corners right now. You've always trained hard. You walk around in shape between fights, unlike most other fighters in the business. So we know you're going to be in shape. You're going to be in the best shape possible. Age gets thrown out the window when it comes to Bernard Hopkins and Roy Jones Jr. as far as physical conditioning goes. But what can we expect in the ring? What is it going to take that night? Is it going to take speed? Is it going to take power? Is it going to take aggressiveness? Roy?
Don't know for sure what it's going to take to do it the way I want to do it, but you got to remember this, I'm multi-dimensional. I bring a whole lot to the ring every time. So whatever I got to pull out my bag that night to make it happen, that's what I pull out.
Bernard?
I can answer that question different than he did, and I will, because I know what he has to do and I know what I have to do. You know, as you get older, we all lose something. And I'm not in denial of that. I think he is. But one thing that I understand about the Roy Jones back then and the Roy Jones now, he's gonna have to fight. And maybe that had a lot to do with a lot of mishaps in his career. But nevertheless, I've always been, with no disrespect to my legacy, obviously I wouldn't do that, a basic, technical type of fighter that just understand the ABCs of boxing and never deviated from that. He was so talented at that particular time, he didn't have to use the things that most boxers had to be taught early. Jab, right hand, left hook. That's the basics. He was the super Roy Jones, and he earned that. But now as you get older, and now as time passes by, how do you reinvent yourself since you don't have that extra step? How do you become creative to stay in this game and to still compete at a high level? I've gotten better. My resume shows it. My deeds and what I've accomplished showed it. The question is, have Roy Jones over the years got better? That's what I will expose come April 3rd in Vegas. I will expose that early, not late, early. I will expose it, and then I will knock him out and send him home.